Nice.
Yeah, we're live.
All right, how's it going? My name's Dean Rodriguez,
I'm Corey Murray.
I'm Rob
Hold on,
Shop.
guys. I'm Jake.
I'm Andrew.
and our topic today is going to be third and fifth grade with content knowledge and academic language. So I just wanted to go over just some of the basic points. Um, Starting in third and fifth grade, I see it more than just like playing games. At this age, students are like starting to refine skills and understand why we move in like a certain way. So we want them to build strong foundations and skills like throwing, catching, striking, dribbling, and basic offense and defensive concepts. And also for some simple like fitness concepts, we want them to know why their heart rate goes up, what it is, what it means to be like flexible, why strength and endurance matters. Also trying to connect their lives, maybe saying this helps you play longer at recess or in sports without getting tired as quickly. I just wanted to go over some academic language. Why is it important in this grade? Because it helps students talk about why they're learning and not just doing it. So in class, maybe we'll use words like locomotor, start introducing like pathways, levels, and cardiovascular endurance. This is also from one of our resources in Shape America we've used. So for example, we might say like a locomotor skill is away from moving from one place to another, like skipping, running, or sliding. Also, we'd want to incorporate those words, trying students to use those words back to us as teachers. So maybe ask them questions like, what pathway could you use to get open? What cue do you remember from an overhand throw? Things like that to get them thinking, speaking, and listening, which all connects back to PE and their classroom learning. Just something else. When I was a camp counselor in third, like all elementary schools, I had an example when they were doing like overhand throwing and playing baseball. At first, they just wanted to like throw the ball as hard as possible, and I saw them like couple of them frustrated when they missed their target or not passing anyone. I taught them like some cues, maybe like side to target, arm back, step and follow through. I made them repeat those words out loud in the cues, and it actually helped them. And a big thing is all this could help them transition to middle school, which they would probably do in a year or two. So in middle school, a lot of expectations go up from there. There's a lot of more complex rules, more sport specific units, and more responsibility. So if we as teachers teach students from third to fifth grade, we want them to know the basic terms, know them to follow cues, and understand like why fitness is really important. And the more they are prepared, the less nervous they go to transition into middle school. That's all I got.
Yeah,
Great job, Dean. Love
and
that.
Dean, I was also a camp counselor. I actually specifically taught 3 through 5, and I noticed that once you're in that third grade level, like cues are really really helpful and everything like that. But as they advance towards fifth grade, like the cues are still helpful, but they're moving towards more advanced movements by then,
Yeah,
because at the end
exactly.
of fifth grade they're almost ready for um you know for like invasion games and
Yeah,
everything like that.
exactly.
So it's a lot more advanced by fifth grade for sure.
Another thing about you guys both have instructed in third through fifth grade PE. I have served as a substitute teacher in my home district of Red Hook in multiple different scenarios of PE, but I've really been focusing on trying to hone in on 3-5 PE because that is where I'm most passionate about teaching, and I look forward to hopefully exploring that as an option in my future. But in my experience of teaching, we've really been focusing on teamwork and like group cohesion and making sure that they understand that not only is it important to have a mastery of a skill at an individual aspect, but also working with others and building up into like kind of working with different groups of different skill levels and accommodating everybody. So if my partner is not like as good as me, or maybe they're better than me. We want to have activities and content that is really designed to incorporate and accommodate all of them. And that is a big aspect of this topic here for us. We want to also make sure that if we're explaining things, we want to use kind of academic language that is applicable and understandable from all of our students. So to use that, one resource that we use is Bloom's Taxonomy, which is really like all about our objectives and how we're instructing our different activities for our third through fifth graders. So Bloom's Taxonomy is measurable verbs in like terms of complexity. So we want them to be able to understand something or apply something, or if we're in a strategy kind of thing, we want them to analyze and evaluate what they're doing. So designing different activities with those kind of action verbs in like the back of our minds is big, because if we ask them certain check for understanding questions or assessment questions, those are like the things that we want to get out of our academic language of, hey, this girl over here understands this, this one is applying it. If we can get them to work together, then we can all understand, apply, create, evaluate, all those good things in all different aspects of our activities. And that all serves as a great like kind of compounding interest of we're working towards a common goal of getting through our curriculum, but we're all doing it at different speeds, and we want to make sure that like everybody's included and actively participating with each other. So that's a great resource, Bloom's Taxonomy, that we really wanted to hammer home in terms of 3-5 academic language and content knowledge. Another thing, in my personal experience, not just teaching, but also going through third through fifth grade, we had a big focus on sort of invasion games, making sure that we're all trying new things, stretching out our comfort zones. Like, this is our time to really experiment on what we really enjoy in PE before we get into middle school, where we're going to go through a ton of changes. Everything's going to be different. This is our time to really have fun and enjoy PE in a different aspect of kind of just working towards enjoyment, but also physical activity in its purest form. Our content wants to be all about applying different activities and putting things together, compounding skills, starting with our baseline that we learned, hopefully in K2. It's just ramps up from here. You know, this is our jump off point. You go from 3-5 to sixth grade to team sports in middle school. It's a big jump. So this is our time to really make sure that they have an understanding and that they're really getting everything out of it that we really want them to. That's my great piece. I love that. Really looking forward to teaching 3-5 further. I'm really excited.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, definitely like all the changes that you do, after, K2 and then, past fifth grade. I mean, there's a ton of changes, and, it's kind of hard to, I would say include a ton of academic language that, you can get to retain, like have students retain, just at that age, that, you'd want, further in middle school and in high school. To piggyback off that, what I found was super cool. I know you said that you substitute. I substitute also, and one thing that I've seen just kind of observing also in the school, was just a ton of fun games that my host teacher did for some observation when I was observing, on health related fitness terms, which I was actually quite surprised, because we really don't want to include that so early, just because those are kind of advanced concepts. But she just was lightly sprinkling them in, into lessons, just asking students. She had a big poster, and she would ask students kind of where their activity was. And then one thing I saw, for my high school observation, that I thought was super cool, when they were totally full of health related fitness unit, was they did like a cool little warm-up game where they would like pull muscular fitness, or not muscular fitness, a health related fitness, you know uh vocab word out of a hat, and then they would have activity to play right in the beginning. So that was super cool. And then the same teacher also taught 3 through 5. So she said she does that every now and again. So that was super cool to see. But yeah, like a ton of those activities that she had for the K through or the 3 through 5 kids were from Open PE, which I use a ton. I know we're all camp counselors here. At the camp that I work at, I use Open PE all the time to, make stations and stuff when the kids, want something to do. Like I'll go online the night before and I'll find some stuff for them. And Open PE is just such a great resource because it's all free and it's ran through Cortland, which is kind of special for us. And we get to have full access for that. It's free for everyone, obviously, but something a little that it's easier for us to navigate. Um, but yeah, just like the academic language, I thought it was really interesting that um, the 3 through 5 teacher sprinkled that in, health related fitness when obviously, it's kind of a big unit for 3 through 5 to retain, but it's interesting and it shows you kind of that, your academic language doesn't always have to be just fundamental movement skills and, big cues and key concepts. Like it could be anything, as long as you make it approachable, kind of like in the tasks that you would have like in the beginning activities and make it easy for them to kind of pick up on by having them involved picking out of a hat which activity you wanted to do and how they're related to the terms. But that's kind of all I got. It's just a cool way to introduce that type of stuff.
Yeah, and looking back on it, in my specifically, I think it was fourth grade, actually. Um, People came in, and it wasn't my actual PE teachers, but they came in and they did like a lesson on like the heart and lungs and stuff like that, and went over cardiovascular endurance. Um, so I've honestly been learning that stuff since I was just a kid in PE in fourth grade. Um, and yeah, it is a big unit for sure for 3 through 5. But honestly, I think that students can really retain that information, even though they may not understand it fully. But I think it can help them learn a lot about health related fitness in the future and everything like that. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
the host teacher I had, she was just kind of going over, the big, key concepts of the unit, definitely not, as in depth as, you might handle in high school or middle school, but it was just a cool way to introduce it, at a really young age. So, they're not totally shocked when, you're having them make their, calorie intakes and their
Yeah.
and all their stuff, 5 years down the road. But, they'll definitely know where to start to.
Yeah, no, it's just very cool that students can learn that type of stuff at that grade. Because I mean, I learned that stuff in high school as well, but it's better off to start learning it earlier, you know?
Definitely, definitely.
Think a lot of kind of the academic language that goes along with these grades kind of has to do with progressing to these game-like situations that they're going to see. Like a lot of you guys said, with my personal experience too, a lot of it from my like third to fifth grade was a lot of invasion games, a lot of broad kind of go have fun. There wasn't exactly structured learning the skills and then going. That was more when they graduate to the middle school, the high school, all that stuff. But I do think at that age, we kind of, even if we didn't realize at the time, we kind of grab more of an understanding of the game within the game. So the language goes to maybe dribble to the cone, pass against the wall. But as they grow, it kind of goes from more doing to understanding. Instead of that, instead of pass against the wall, we can say pass to and receive from a teammate. These are just like stuff like that, just changes that I don't think we even realized, but they do happen at that point. Because now students aren't just practicing emotion; they're learning about the connection, timing, teamwork in the game. They can handle more like specific vocabulary, like space, the strategy, communication, teamwork. So like rather than saying don't crowd each other, you might say find open space. So there's more options within the game. And then they start using those words themselves without realizing. You'll hear them say things like, oh, our strategy was to spread out or we kept possession by passing to open space. That's the moment that language and learning kind of connect. And I also, I'm a camp counselor, but for the same ages, for like 1 to 5. But I also, mine's more of like an adapted program. So it's not really structured. I'm not really like a PE teacher per se, but we do physical activity all the time. And there was one time they were just having a catch from the baseball, these two kids. And I do remember it was a fourth grader, I think. I was with them that day. He came up to me and said, I like what's I commented on his throw because it was good, all that stuff. And he came up to me and said, I aimed like for his chest so it would be easier to catch. And I was like, oh, like perfect. We know him from here really taught him that, but it's just once they grow, you don't realize it starts clicking. It wasn't just about throwing, it was about kind of awareness, his intention, communication. When students can talk about their thinking and not just perform a skill, they're like truly getting ready to progress. And I think that is where that starts for middle school and beyond.
Yeah, I agree with you, Andrew. I think all of that comes down to the teacher actually using like strong academic language and strong content knowledge through these early grades. Definitely teach your students how to like listen to directions a lot more, using proper technique, work with teammates and classmates, also even like reflect on their own performances. So those are like the same skills at this young age that they will obviously enter middle school PE and even join maybe a club, an extra curriculum, which all use these same skills. So definitely benefits all of them in using obviously strong academic language and content knowledge.
All right, guys. I think that's all we got right now. Anybody got anything else? I think we wrapped it up pretty good there.
Yeah.
Good. Put a nice
All
little
right,
bow on
yeah.
it there.
All right, thank you
All
for
right.
watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.